Hi friends, hello, hi, how are you? I hope you guys are having an amazing day today. Hello. So, I look a little weird right now, and that's because today is going to be a Talktorial Monday. Normally I do a series on my channel, it's called Talktorial Tuesdays, where every Tuesday I do somewhat of a tutorial. We are going to be getting back into that normally next week, but because my palette goes on sale tomorrow, the 28th, I decided I wanted to do a Talktorial with the Smokey Glow palette. So initially I was going to do a few different looks with this palette and do like a 4-look, 1 palette type series. However, this is bad timing, but my wrist is broken. So doing 4 eyeshadow looks right now doesn't seem feasible for me. So I'm just going to do one really cool look. I'm going to try to use a bunch of the colors. I think I'm going to do somewhat of a sunset eye and just kind of show you guys how I would use this palette, what I would do to create different types of looks with this palette. It is my child. So I'll zoom you guys in and we can get started. And I figured while I would do that, I asked on Instagram if you guys had any questions about like the making of the palette or any sort of details. And yeah, I also wanted to talk about the pre-subscriber launch because it went really well, but I know there are people that aren't happy. So we'll talk about that too. So let's zoom right in. Okay, so hello. So first thing we're gonna do is go into the shade Basic. I'm going to take this pure kind of white shade right here, and I am going to just put that all over my eyes and kind of set my eyes. This is something I do every time I do my makeup. Like you can see, my technique might be a little poorer than usual. It's already not fantastic, but with the wrist issues, might not be like the best. All right, let's get to some questions I know you guys had. So the first question was actually asked by my boyfriend, and the question was, how do you spell colleague? So this was the first thing that happened that was probably the biggest like hiccup in the process that I've had. In the palette, we named a shade after my boyfriend and he uses the word colleague. And there was kind of an unfortunate situation that the shade colleague was spelled incorrectly in the palette. I have to own it because it's a mistake, and it was a mistake that I should have caught. It was a mistake that Midas should have caught, and it was definitely something that we dropped the ball on 100%. Was I very angry when I found out? Absolutely. I was pretty mad because it is unprofessional. It's not great. It doesn't look great. It's something I was really upset about because I did want this launch to be perfect, and obviously that is not a perfect palette if it's spelled wrong. So that was really disappointing and really upsetting, but that's my fault, and at the end of the day, and I should have done more to make sure that that didn't happen. However, it is too late to fix it on the first round of palettes for the launch. Midas is a small brand, and the amount of palettes we ordered a ton, and the amount of palettes we ordered, it's the most Midas has ever ordered, and it also is not something that they could just take the loss on financially, which I completely understand. So I kind of was like, okay, well, guess it is like limited edition, because the shade colleague will be spelled wrong on the first round of palettes that we get, which again, like, sucks. I'm not trying to make light of it by joking about it like that. I know a lot of people are really upset and think it's very unprofessional, and I'm one of those people. Like, I agree with you, but also there wasn't anything we could do about it. So we are trying to make it kind of like just something, we're just rolling with it at this point. It's all we can do. We gotta own it. And I appreciate the people being so nice in the comments and kind of, you know, going along with the joke of it and everything. I'm gonna go in with this shade Jump Cut, this really pretty coral. I'm gonna go in with kind of like a tapered brush and just throw this in my crease and really just try to, this is kind of the base of what we're gonna be doing. Kind of doing like windshield wiper motions. So that was the first big thing that happened. That was like a big mistake. Definitely was not happy, but I'm glad that we could at least make it something like a little bit funny or something good. I don't know. But yeah, that definitely sucked. The colleague thing really sucked. Somebody asked, did you come up with the names or the colors first? I came up with the colors first. I think it would have been hard to name things before they actually had colors assigned to them. Process of picking the finalized colors was definitely like a lot. It took a long time to actually get the finalized palette. Okay, a lot of you guys asked if the process was anything like the Shane Dawson and Jeffree Star palette documentary, which I guess makes sense. I did know that I was making this palette while I was reviewing his series. I'm gonna go in with the shade Colleague right here, and I'm just gonna kind of lightly pack this on below that coral shade. I love this flamingo color. It's so pretty. My process was nowhere. It was not at all like the Jeffree and Shane series. First of all, the owner of Midas is based in Chicago. And so there was like a kind of barrier right then and there. I was never like in the lab mixing pigments, which honestly, like you wouldn't have wanted me to do that. Because I know nothing about any of that. However, I will say the process of picking the shades was very similar, where we kind of went through like color stories and went through a color book basically of like what the shades were, and then we were able to create them based on those colors that I picked out. So the process of picking the shades actually was a lot similar, except we weren't together. She kind of just like sent me all of the stuff and then I picked out what I wanted, and then she added to it. I will say also, my friends on YouTube, I sent it to them, the initial palette that I picked the colors for, because the first round of like what we had when I finished picking out all of my colors was basically the Modern Renaissance. Like that's what it was. It was basically the Modern Renaissance palette, pretty much exactly. And which makes sense because those are colors that I love and that's like a color story I like. But I knew I wanted it to be like different than that too. I kept describing it as like the Modern Renaissance colors. Obviously not Modern Renaissance. It's nowhere near the level of notoriety that that has, but I wanted it to be like a 2.0 to the Modern Renaissance. So I sent it to my group chat. I'm gonna go in with the shade Rose, which is right next to group chat. I sent it to my group chat of friends and I was basically like, I know this is kind of basic, like what colors do you think would be good complementing wise? And they definitely helped me think of how to make it like more exciting while still being true to what I like in a palette. So like the blue to pink duochrome was actually Georgia Harris's idea. She was like showing me stuff that she thought would go with it and she pulled out a blue to pink duochrome and she was like, this would be perfect to go with what you already have. So like that was her idea. And then I knew I wanted to add maybe like a neon, which is why we had a jump cut. I knew I wanted to add like a deeper shimmer, which is how we got Dofa. I knew I wanted more like royally purples, which is why we have Leno. But my group chat was really good as like a bouncing board to kind of help me come up with different ideas and things like that. Kind of like how Shane and Jeffree did like a test group. Like that was kind of like my test group. Like I would send them things as it was going and they would kind of give me their input on things. And while I know that this palette is probably not exactly how they all would have done it, if it was their palette, I do think it was nice that they were able to give me like an outside perspective just beyond my basic kind of makeup, if that makes sense. Somebody says, what was your favorite part and your least favorite part of the process? My favorite part was doing the like packaging design. That was so much fun to get to do. We had a ton of different ideas. We landed on like the glittery kind of packaging. That's how we went. I think the hardest part was actually just coming up with a concept, because at first we weren't gonna have it be the Smoky Glow palette. It was gonna be like a palette with like a name, you know what I mean? And I just literally could not think of something that wasn't stupid. Like I couldn't think of something that was like on brand for me that had a theme that wasn't like kind of lame. I struggled with it for like a long time trying to come up with a concept. And at first I was kind of like, what if it was like the glitz and glam collection? But then I was like, no, I'm gonna go with content right here, this kind of deeper purple, and pack that onto the outer corner. So I definitely struggled with the actual, this is what I'm talking about too, with that little bit of fallout, especially with some of these pinks, there is a tiny bit of fallout. So you just have to be careful with that. So I struggled with that. I couldn't think of like a concept. And then my boyfriend was like, it's your palette, like it's you. People are gonna buy it because it's you, so you should make it your palette, like the Smoky Glow palette. So we ended up doing that. And I think it's definitely the most fitting. I think if I had put like a random name on here and tried to make it like the Glitz and Glam palette, like it would have been too much. It wouldn't have been as authentic. Will you be making more makeup in the future? I don't know. The reason I took this collab, and I guess I can talk about really quick kind of the process. The reason I took this collab, I found out back in June that I was doing this collab, and it was Midas kind of reached out to me and they were like, hey, we want to do this. We know you've expressed interest. Like, would you want to do this with us? And I was like, yeah. So that's the reason I kind of got started with it. And then the reason I said yes, and the reason it was like, duh, I'm gonna do this, is because it was Midas. It was a brand that I had worked really closely with. They were the first brand I ever took an affiliate code with. I really believe and trust in the owner, and I felt like they would be able to create something that was really cool for me and also listen to me. Would I make more makeup in the future? I don't know. Maybe. I kind of want to make candles. I don't know. I loved making makeup and I think it's really fun. I also made this knowing that the makeup market is kind of oversaturated, which is why I did try to make something that was like unique, at least a little bit to me. I'm gonna go in with Amazing, this kind of deep red shade, just to extra deepen up this outer corner. So I don't know. Maybe if it was another brand that I like also felt like I really believed in, and if it was another brand that I thought could do something cool, and if it was like an organic kind of thing, then yeah, I'd probably make something else. I think it'd be cool. I think this palette though is like my child at this point, so I can't even begin to think about another sort of project or anything right now. How did it feel to see your palette on Trend Mood? That was nuts. That was really nuts. I didn't really expect that. I didn't really expect her to feature it just because I'm a very small creator and it's also, she's a small brand. Midas is a small brand, but I'm really glad she did. It also was definitely a little bit scary having it on Trend Mood just because that's so iconic and crazy. So knowing that that many people were seeing it was crazy. But I also know we sent out PR to a lot of people that I never in a million years would have ever thought if I ever did something like this. First of all, I just want to make it very clear. I had no idea that I was ever going to do this with my life when I started my YouTube channel. So that's just crazy in and of itself that there's like a palette with my name on it is nuts. We are sending PR to a lot of people that I never in a million years would have thought that I had like connections with to be doing something like that, like sending PR out. I'm going to go in with Jump Cut and Colleague, kind of mix them together for this lower lash line. So if any of those people do feature it on any of their socials, that'll also be just like nuts, just because there's obviously no obligation, but that would just be insane just because I know the amount of people that could possibly see it. So being on Trend Mood and getting this type of exposure for it is not something I ever could have imagined. When I started this palette, I had 30,000 subscribers. So even the exposure it's getting right now, where I am in my life, has been not what I expected when I first started the palette, obviously, because a lot has changed while I've been working on this and started this. Somebody said, Natasha Denona is goals, obviously, but how do you feel about the comparison coincidence? So if you don't know, Natasha Denona dropped what her newest palette is gonna look like. I believe it's called the Love palette, and it's a very Valentine's Day themed palette, and a lot of people were making, I was not making that comparison, but a lot of people were making the comparison that our palettes did look kind of similar. I really liked the Natasha Denona palette, and I think Nisa made a really good point in her video. Nisa was talking about how like both are definitely similar, but they're not like the same. I don't think you would be absolutely duping every shade if you bought, in my palette, if you bought hers. I don't think you would be duping every shade in hers if you bought mine, but I think it was kind of just an interesting coincidence. Obviously, we did not plan for that to be the case. So that's kind of that on that. Another person asked, did you plan for it to be pink and purple themed and for Valentine's Day? So no. One of the things about working with a small company, and I think what a lot of people don't know about Midas is that it is just Rocio. It's just her. She's the only employee of Midas Cosmetics. She's running the entire thing completely by herself right now. So this is kind of the biggest scale of anything that she's ever done with her company. This is like a lot of firsts we're doing together with this collaboration, and I've been trying to obviously help as much as I can, but she is the person who's like running the entire thing, and it's just her. She is Midas basically, which is why I love and respect her so much, because she does so well given the fact that it's just her. I'm gonna use a little bit of my P. Space just to cut the crease. So she, initially when we first were in talks, it was going to be a palette that came out during Glomus, and it was going to happen then. But because of, number one, we did so many kind of custom shades and we did a lot of custom things that made it so it took a little bit longer than I think anyone really thought. Because we did that, and also because of the amount of orders that we realized we were going to have to place, we ended up having to push the launch back to the end of January, which honestly, we had a very long conversation about it at the beginning of December, because we were kind of like, okay, obviously not gonna happen now. And she was like, we could try to make it happen by the end of December, but, and this is again where I respect her, because I think other companies might have wanted to capitalize on the hype that kind of Glomus brought. And she was very much like, no, I don't want to rush it and make it something not bad or have any bad experiences for anybody. I want it to be a really easy and good experience for people, which I really respected and I obviously completely agreed with. So we did decide to hold on the launch, mostly because we didn't want to rush it and then have something like go wrong. We wanted it to be perfect. So that's why the colleague thing hurts so bad. So we didn't actually end up planning for this pink and purple theme to be Valentine's Day themed. Kind of just ended up working out that way, that it's like the perfect Valentine's Day-esque palette, perfect for like this time of year, I think. That's pretty much most of the questions were about. The other thing I want to talk about is the subscriber only pre-sale. So So on the 25th, a couple days ago, we had a like subscriber only pre-sale. You had to sign up with a code before the actual, it went like live to the public. It goes live to the public tomorrow on the 28th at 12 p.m. PST, Pacific Standard Time. We were doing this pre-launch. There were a few reasons we were doing it. A lot of people got confused and thought that it was like, that was the pre-order, and that's not true. The entire thing was a pre-order. I tried to explain that in my video, but I know it's kind of complicated. The entire thing was a pre-order. I think I'm gonna go in with group chat with my finger. With a lot of these shimmer shades, I just like to use my finger because I like to do that with most shimmer shades. So I'm gonna go in with my finger. This is probably, group chat's probably my favorite shade. I think it's so pretty. So with the subscriber only pre-order, first of all, we did not think that many people were going to watch the reveal video. I think it's at almost like 50,000 views or something. We didn't think that many people were gonna watch it to begin with. So there was that. And then we ended up having way more people sign up for emails than we ever could have anticipated. I think we had almost 5,000 people sign up for that pre-order email to be sent out, which is a lot of people, a lot more people than, again, Midas has ever had to like work with at once. And we kind of knew that this was gonna be like kind of hyped, but I don't think we anticipated the level of hype. So what ended up happening was everybody who did sign up for an email did get an email. A lot of people I know had it accidentally sent to their spam folders, which unfortunately there like wasn't anything we could do about that. So people didn't get alerted. The collection, I was watching the numbers from like behind. She gave me like, this kind of made it feel like Jeffree Star was like, she gave me access to be able to see the number of people on the site and the number of people purchasing things at one time. When the site went live and the palette and the collection and everything went live, we had so many people on the site. And I knew immediately that all of those people were not going to be able to get what we were doing, because how we did it was we split it up to try to give people more of a chance. But the way we split it up was we did a portion of the stock that we were currently going to be getting on this day, and then we were going to do the rest of the stock on this day. So it wasn't like there was like a restock in 2 days, none of that. Again, I tried to make that very clear in the video, but I know it was kind of confusing. This was basically just the first round of everything done in 2 days. Number one, to make the site work better. We thought if we got some people on the site the first day and then we got everyone else the next day, it would make the site not glitch. And the other reason was just to kind of understand what we were kind of going to be looking at. It was kind of like the test run. Test run went great. We sold out of everything in 9 minutes. So we sold out of the PR boxes in the first 2 minutes, highlighter palettes and the lip glosses in the first 5 minutes, and then we sold out of the palettes in the first 9 minutes. The palettes are what we had the most of, so I'm glad they lasted that long, I guess, but that was not something we anticipated. We had the pre-sale for that day open till 3 p.m. because we thought that it was gonna be like an all-day thing of people just casually getting things. We didn't know there were gonna be people waiting, that many people especially, like waiting on the website as it went live. I'm gonna go in with the shade Friends. Actually, no, I'll do Nutty so you guys can see. I love Nutty. I'm gonna go with my finger again and just kind of pat this like here. Nutty is such a fun shade. So again, it wasn't something we anticipated or thought was gonna happen. So now for the launch tomorrow, we are a little nervous about selling out too quickly. So I want to make it very clear. I'm not trying to do like scarcity marketing tactics or like fear mongering that you're not going to get it. If this next sale, what happens tomorrow, if we sell out, we are placing an order pretty much immediately for new stock. And that'll hopefully be here towards the beginning of March. So we'll be able to do another sale in March. This is not a limited edition collection. This is going to be around for a while. It's definitely not permanent in the sense that this isn't going to be here for the next like 25 years. This is not a part of their permanent collection, but it is going to be available as long as you guys want to buy it. So I don't want anyone to think that they need to, if they don't get it around this time around, that they're not ever going to get it. I am going to go in with Friends here and just I'm going to go in with this one with a brush, just a teeny tiny brush, put that on the inner corner. So I really don't want anyone to think that. I don't want anyone to think they're never going to get it if they don't get it tomorrow. You're going to get it eventually. But the other problem is because Midas is just one person, could only order so much and then feasibly be able to ship it out to you guys at a reasonable time because it's one person. Hi, it's editing me. Rocio wanted me to mention that they're also, I think it's 5 to 7, we're saying to allow 5 to 7 days for processing and shipping after the 14th. Most things should be shipping on the 14th, but on the off chance that things
need to take longer to process or what have you, we're saying offer 5 to 7 days for processing time as well. So I did want to include that in here. Most stuff is getting shipped on the 14th, but we're putting that in there just so nobody has any unrealistic expectations. Okay. Say bye. You want to say hi? Okay.
Done with my eye look, by the way. I'm gonna do mascara and stuff. I'm so honored and excited that it was like me, that they got to do this with and everything. But with it being a small brand, there are some limitations. I didn't expect any of this, honest. I didn't expect this type of hype around it. I was very surprised, and we wanted to make sure it was a reasonable amount so that there were no mistakes made and everybody got their orders in a timely manner, if that makes sense. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I need to tell you guys. There's really nothing to say besides thank you, I feel like. I'm sorry, it really sucks, the timing of this whole thing. The highlighter palette, and I'm gonna use Yas. I want to say thank you because overall the response to this has been so overwhelmingly positive, and also just overwhelming in general, because I never thought that this would be the response. I just really didn't. I never, ever, ever would have dreamed that this would be the reaction to something that I was putting out. I never thought this many people would be like excited about this. So just thank you for that, because I love this highlighter, because I just thank you. And the other thing is, along with that did come some kind of hate, and I just want to say, like, I feel like it's hard because I don't want to give excuses, but it's kind of crappy because something that's so amazing that's happening, which is this collection and this palette and everything that I put into it, is releasing during a time in my life where things are kind of complicated and kind of not the best. I won't dive too much into it, but I have a lot going on. That has been why I haven't been posting as regularly. That has been why I maybe seem rushed in my videos at times, and it's not because I don't love and appreciate and I'm so excited for this collection. It's just because I have a lot of other stuff going on that isn't this, that is unfortunate timing with coinciding with this. I'm gonna use Never Dull, the gloss that I feel like people were the most excited about. Oh, that's the other thing. So we did have a lot of people in the comments saying that they didn't want the glosses as a bundle, they just wanted glosses. So things we are changing for the second round, which will be happening sometime in March. In March, you will be able to buy the glosses individually instead of in a bundle. I didn't even think about doing that when we were doing it. That's why getting your feedback instantly after we launched was so valuable, because now we can plan for the March restock to be able to sell these as individuals. They'll retail for $9 each. With the code, I think that's like 20% off that. I don't know. They will retail for $9 each, and you can buy the individual ones that you guys want. So if you want to wait on that, totally fine, totally respect it. And the PR boxes will be available, again, as long as the collection is available. You will always be able to buy that PR box and that bundle, guaranteed. So that's always going to be there as well. And everything goes on sale tomorrow at noon Pacific Standard Time, and I'll be watching and freaking out. If you guys like this video, I hope it was entertaining for you. I'm gonna do a quick little narcissistic montage with my palette shadows. I love how this look turned out. This is like exactly the look I wanted to create today. I think it's so beautiful. If you want to see more looks, I'll probably be using this in my videos for the next couple weeks, but I'll try really hard not to like shove it down your throats, because I don't want to seem like I'm just here to push a product to you. That's absolutely not my intention. I'm just really excited and using it. Let's do our montage. So that is it for me, friends. I had so much fun today playing with this palette and finally getting to show you guys how I would personally use this palette. I really hope you liked the video. If you did, please like and subscribe, or just subscribe, or do neither. I'm honestly just so happy you're watching me. Thank you so much for being here. My merch, my social media, and everything I'm wearing on my face will be linked down below, along with a link to register to vote. That's right, you can click on that link, you can register to vote, and you can be part of your democracy. I will also leave the link to the palette, so tomorrow, if you just want to come at noon PST, click on that link, you can buy it. You can also use code Smokey Glow. It is all one word for 20% off. That is an affiliate link, so I do make a commission. But if you want to use that one, or there's a plethora of codes if you don't want to use that code. I love you guys so much. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for the support. I can't tell you how many times I've cried over this whole thing, over how kind you guys have been, over selling out that quickly on something that I thought would not happen. Yeah, I'm really excited. I love you guys so much. Thank you so much for watching this, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!